Welcome to Twisted Truths. Today I have with me Dr. Sujit Paul. Dr. Paul is presently the Group CEO of Zota Healthcare Limited. He is an industry veteran with many years in senior leadership roles. He carries more than 2.5 decades of rich experience in setting up, scaling, and operating for diverse plethora of brands such as Reliance Pharma Retail, Asian Paints, Bata, Kodak, Apollo Pharmacy, Trust Pharmacy, Columbia Asia Hospital, CAH Clinics, and many more. It'll be my pleasure to talk to him today and understand the diverse roles that he takes. Dr. Paul, welcome to Twisted Truths. How are you feeling today?
Thank you so much. All's good. Great. Thank you for getting me out here.
So my first question always to my dear guests are, what landed you in this role? Was it something that you always decided since when you were growing up during your adolescent years that I want to hold a very senior role in management, be part of the top leadership team? Or was this something
No.
just happened?
No, it's not that. As I was growing up, I was never, it was never in my thought that, I would be getting into a management kind of, portfolio, because I was more into a creative kind of activity during my schools and colleges. I used to do a lot of theaters in Bengal.
Oh, wow.
I used to be part of, I had my own band in Bengal, so which we used to play.
So you were a singer?
Yeah, I was a lead singer, and I was a lead guitarist. Uh-huh. So I used to do a lot of small serials at that point of time in Bengal. So my genre of journey, I thought that I'll get into more of arts than into this. But I think fate have taken me into corporate world, and that's how I kind of moved into corporate world. And from then, it was never looking back, because whatever I intended to do at that point of time and now is that, I always wanted to be the best in the industry. And that's what I do in every corporate that I go.
Right. So, before I move into a different set of questions, if I have to actually say, put you on the spot and say, that sing a few lines for us, are you in that vocal position?
I'm far away from that. I think over decades that, I kind of moved away from what my initial days passion of life was, and have moved into a corporate world.
So no bathroom singing as well?
No. It's only bathroom panels that we do nowadays.
Really? So you don't have these get-togethers at home where you have these adda sessions and somebody's jamming?
What happens is that my life is so busy that it's purely into corporate, because my days pass by being into corporate journey, and since I've been mentoring for almost 17-18 years now in sujitpaul.com, so my evenings and nights actually goes in mentoring, coaching, and writing books, because that's what I do. So I think I'm full-fledged into corporate life during the day, and my nights goes in, as what I said, into writing books and mentoring and coaching.
And what brought you into the pharma retail industry? Like, again, was this like a conscious choice, or was this again something which you did not plan for?
Well, yes, I think I have been passionate about retail from many years ago, because then when I actually entered retail, I knew that retail is the next genre that the world would actually envisage. So I was very selective when I was selecting the industry that I should get into retail industry, and that's how I kind of got into retail, and retail been my passion for many years now. So pharma retail is just a scoop out of the retail genre of the world.
Right. And how different is pharma retail from the maybe the generic or the regular retail?
It's widely different, because it needs a series of expertise, because pharma retail is a very serious business, because you handle medicines, and slightest mistake can really
life. You're basically managing life.
Yeah, because you are not selling apparels or similar.
Correct.
So yes, it's different. It needs a lot of knowledge of what you need to do, and like in normal retail, you can push people to overbuy. For example, if someone comes for a shirt, you can still push him for a trouser.
Correct, exactly.
But here, if someone comes for a cardiac machine, medicine, you can't push him to buy for a neuromedicine as well.
Correct.
Right. You can't oversell, and you should not oversell.
Right.
So it is way different. It needs a set of expertise to handle pharma retail, because that is not only a specialized line of retail, but that also. One who comes into pharma retail have to have a lot of empathy and compassion, because you're handling patients.
So you're presently based out of Calcutta, Kolkata. So how different do you think is the corporate culture of Calcutta as compared to Bombay, Bangalore, and Delhi? Because we often hear that Calcutta is a slow, laid back city and it does not have the best of corporate cultures. And
No.
you being the group CEO, I think you're the right man to.
No, see, we operate in Calcutta, but I'm not based out of Calcutta.
Right.
So I'm based out of Bangalore.
Okay.
But typically, at my level, I travel quite frequently.
Correct.
So many years ago, I was in Calcutta.
Okay.
But over years, Calcutta have definitely progressed. But yes, I think it needs a catch up from Bangalore or Bombay or similar what it is. But that I'm based out of Bangalore, and I operate in western part of the country more.
Right. Okay.
I think those places are a little faster than what we have out here, and probably the pace is much faster than what we see out here.
Right. So if I have to maybe ask you to give us, say, three or two or four, whatever broad pointers, as in how is the western part of India way ahead than Bengal or the eastern part of India?
I think what I really see is that the movement of pace is way faster than what we see out here.
Okay.
Whilst I know that Calcutta is really catching up, is trying to kind of, but when we say about catch up, it needs generations to change, because you obviously have to have the mindset change, and which need to come from when someone is a child. So the biggest thing that I've always seen in western part or in southern part is that people are willing to work very, very long hours.
Okay.
People are more progressive. People believe in real pace, and because I myself always love speed, that's the reason I always speak about with my colleagues as to how they can actually build speed more. So I think it's all about the fastness of the activity and the acumen, right from in the brain what you think and how you actually execute in terms of speed. That matters.
Right. So you, being a Bengali from Bengal, now you have moved out of Bengal. You keep coming back, but your base is in Bangalore, as you said. And there are so many Bengalis who have moved out from Bengal, and their motivation factor is very high, whereas maybe a person staying here, I'm not speaking for everybody, but the general perception here is, as you said, is a little sluggish, little slow. So what do you think is the motivating factor for people based out of, say, Bangalore or Bombay, whether they Bengalis or non-Bengalis, as compared to the motivating factor here? Like, why is this sluggishness?
I rather than a sluggishness, I would rather put it in the way that anyone who is motivated first have to have a self-belief, because motivation is very, very temporary, but the belief systems are more important. For example, when I was in Bengal, and that's what I said, that in my early days also, I had a very strong belief system that I would definitely make a mark somewhere, and that is the reason whatever I used to do at that point of time had kept marks, and that's what have taken me even today. Whatever I do today also try to make a mark. So when I feel that as an individual, as a small child, as you grow up, if your aspiration levels are very high, but
Right.
irrespective of where you are,
Right.
that actually takes you very, very long days ahead. So when I was in my much younger days, I used to work extremely hard when I was in the school, when I was in college, university out here, and the same thing I do today. So I really don't think it's city specific. It's more on individual specific.
So if I have to say, that means you're saying that the individuals in Calcutta, the percentage of individuals who are, say, ambitious or who are very driven are less. Are you trying to
No. I feel they are quite a many, and that is the reason you'll see worldwide Bengalis are there across the world.
Exactly. And that's the surprising factor, because I come from a creative industry, and if I look at some of the biggest creative houses, media houses, the top head honchos, the VPs, the creative heads are all Bengalis. Yeah. So why is it that Bengalis have to come out of Bengal to flourish? Why can't they flourish in their homeland?
It may happen that in Bengal they may or may not had the opportunity to flourish. Yeah. So if you are an aggressive person who wants to flourish at any way, then the barrier cannot be a state barrier. You have to go beyond state, beyond country, anywhere where you can flourish.
Right.
So that's what aspiration is all about.
Correct. But एक इंसान को हो ही सकता है कि उसको अपने मिट्टी से बहुत प्यार है. They want to stay in their motherland, homeland. हो सकता है, and that's nothing wrong in that. Yet they want to be really successful. Yeah. So if we are far away from politics, we are in a different world, but however, if I have to just ask you, ground level पे एक दो चीजें ऐसी क्या करनी चाहिए जिससे कि कोई अगर बंगाल में रह के भी सक्सेसफुल या तरक्की पाना चाहे तो कैसे हो सकता है?
जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि it needs a generation change. Please understand that any change anywhere in the world, it will take at least 2 to 3 generations.
Right.
And that is the rule of the game, because science and data have proven that any transitional change takes time.
Correct.
Whether it's good or bad.
Either
ways. Either ways.
Yeah.
So Bengal is changing for good very fast. But we can't expect everything to happen overnight. Because it needs that rotation of that 2 generations to come to that level. And that is the law of economics.
Right. Okay, so moving back to medicine. So for the audience, what are generic medicine stores?
So generic medicines are the generic version of medicines, which means is that it is nothing but the molecules. For example, say paracetamol 650. Paracetamol is what is important here and not the brand 650. For example, say if you have fever, so a physician prescribes a specific brand name and the dosage 500, 650, 1000. So rather than that, if someone have the similar molecule of paracetamol, so paracetamol is a generic version of it. So generic is nothing but the molecule. That's a base.
Right. So basically the molecule stays the same, just the brands differ.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So you don't have a brand tag to it.
Right. And how do these drugs, improve the healthcare accessibility in India?
Well, healthcare for any country to improve, there are 2 critical things that the country have to do. One, ensure a strong education, and the other is to have a boost on healthcare. So generic medicines are the next key that should help India to improve, because generic medicines are not only that it is of very high quality usually, but it is also affordable. So if countries like India, where affordabilities at times are issues for people in the villages as well as other places, generic medicines are the important version of it.
Right. And my next question was this: and how do we increase the accessibility to the rural areas?
So whilst government is working to roll out multiple regulations, like the MCI guidelines says that physicians need to write generic medicines, I think what is more important is that we have more good private players, who really understands the value of high quality medicines and roll out. But the key is that someone have to be genuinely concerned to ensure that they give high quality generic medicines. Then it works phenomenal, and it also builds a lot of savings to the end consumer and patients.
Right. And how do you ensure these quality checks, that it is absolutely at the right level, it is at the top of the game?
Because for us, we ensure that every medicine that comes out from the best of manufacturing unit who are WHO and GMP registered.
Right. I have a very silly question in mind, and I think this question must be inside the minds of every other person. I hope so. I hope I'm not the only stupid one. So what happens, suppose when we see the expiry date of a medicine, suppose a medicine expired, what happens after that? Suppose we by mistake we consume an expired medicine. Say we expired Crocin खा लिया, तो क्या होता है?
Okay. I will answer from a legal perspective. I will also answer from a layman perspective.
Okay.
So a statutory and compliance perspective is that a patient or a consumer should not consume expired medicine.
Obviously. Yes.
Also, a patient or a consumer should not ideally consume a near expiry medicine.
Okay.
However, usually if a medicine is close to expiry and by mistake you have consumed it, usually nothing wrong would happen. But from a legal jurisdiction and compliance and statutory perspective, definitely the manufacturing and the expiry date have to go. But in case by mistake someone have consumed, usually nothing else would happen. But it is a no. You people should not consume a medicine which is near expiry or expired.
And suppose गलती से expired खा लिया. Suppose जून 2024 में है, मैंने में expiry था मई का 2024, हमने जून में वो खा लिया. तो क्या होता
है? Usually कुछ होना नहीं चाहिए.
अच्छा.
Okay. Unless you have a real bad luck that something.
अच्छा, okay. So मतलब safe हो सकते एक आध बार मतलब. But guys, ये मत खाना, ये just मेरा अंदर का question है, so that's why I'm asking this. Okay. So how does because India is a country of diverse income portfolios, how does your company or you ensure that it is affordable to almost every section of the society?
Well, India still now is more on branded drugs. Now, in branded drugs, typically what happens is that India primarily, the physicians primarily write branded medicines. So in a prescription, you will see that even if it's say 5 tablets, couple of capsules and syrups, mostly it's branded. So there is, where the change needs. And what we do is that
Ah,
we ensure that every medicine that we produce are really really affordable for the end consumer. So we clean up the middlemen. So from
right,
manufacturer straight it goes to consumers,
right,
and we ensure that our medicines or our health and wellness products are kind of 50-60% lower in cost than branded drugs. So that builds a huge savings for someone who is diabetic or someone who is cardio. For
right,
example, they need regular
right.
medications every month. So for them, it's a huge savings.
Right, because we often, sometimes what happens that a doctor prescribes something and we go to the pharmacy and they say कि इस brand का नहीं है but यही है दूसरे brand का, but the audience or sorry but the patients, they feel that नहीं मेरे को इसी brand का चाहिए, or else they go to a different shop. So is this like a mindset that needs to change?
Yes, it is a mindset that Indian patients need to kind of undergo to change, because if you see US, UK, Europe, it is 70-80%, not 70, it is 80 to 83% of generic, and India is far behind that.
Oh.
So though India is the one of the highest exporters of generic, but the consumption in India is not of generic, it's mostly branded.
Okay.
So when patients ask for branded, because it is a mindset that they have, so they need to kind of undergo the change of mindset for them to understand that high quality generic medicines are equally good, and this will take time for them to change. It's like you are changing your home BSNL telephone to a mobile phone. So
काम वही करता है.
Initial days, even people did not want to shift
yeah,
their BSNL phones. Everyone had kept the
yeah.
BSNL phones
Yeah,
at home.
yeah.
So, but it took, say, a good time to change from BSNL or any government phones to mobile telephones.
Right.
So there was a time, when people used to go to tailors and, in the bank, and they used to collect cash. But now people go to ATM. I think hardly people go to tailor in the bank. So this transition will take time.
So, in terms of, say, the quality or in terms of the effect, do you think like a branded medicine and a generic medicine
it's similar.
Is it 100% similar?
It would be similar. See, what happens is that at the end of the day, you are consuming the same molecule. For example, you are taking a coffee, you remove the wrapper of whichever brand it is, and you take that same coffee in the spoon, and once you put the wrapper, it's basically the similar coffee.
Right. Okay. So this is a very fascinating, conversation, because we often okay, so for example, if I have to tell you, say, crocin, which we generally consume, कभी बुखार हो गया या दर्द हो गया, तो crocin it's a brand basically.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
So what are the other variants of crocin, in terms of the generic medicine?
So for example, whatever brand name that you took, so if we talk about paracetamol, that's it.
Paracetamol is basically
the molecule.
Okay, right.
That's the molecule.
Right.
And the dosage is, say, 500. So here's paracetamol 500.
It's like basically it's photocopy, but we call it Xerox.
As simple as that.
I think this education needs to imbibe
so that's a brand. So so what we do is that in our store, you will get paracetamol 500. Right. So that molecule is what you're getting. Understood. So you're consuming that molecule. It's the same.
Same thing. Okay, lovely. So how do you think with the AI revolution that is now coming in, do you think that will have an effect on your industry?
See, for AI, what we are doing is that we operate AI, and we have accepted AI more with not only with AI built with blockchain. What we are doing is that we are using for helping the end consumer or patient to be more oriented towards generic medicines. But trust me, India is far away from that. But if you really see that slice and dice of India, it's a combination of urban and rural. And the rural spread is so heavy, close to around 85 to 90%.
That's right.
We are far away from AI. Whilst people speak about AI and blockchain, but the reality of fact is at that place, they don't even have a leather chappal to wear. What are we talking about AI there? We're far away from that.
And what do you think, like how long do you think will AI hold a very significant meaning in this pharma industry, and how many years are we talking about?
See, when we talk about retail industry, we have already started working on that.
Okay.
It's how fast you can kind of start accepting that. Now, when we talk about acceptance happens with education. That is the reason, first thing I said, education and healthcare are two things that actually improve whether you're home or country or anything. So more and more our rural population gets into that education breed, then that acceptance. So it will take a full generation round to get into that full turn of acceptance of education when that computer literacy comes, and then comes the entire AI part of the story. So I think for India, we are not in some other country. We have to understand the reality of it, that these are the villages, these are the places, where people first need to understand that they need to have food, they need to have education, they need to have healthcare. But the way AI is happening in urban and rural are completely in different way. That what I see, the genre in urban is catching up much faster because of various reasons.
Obviously, yeah.
But the genre in rural will still take more time.
Right. We often see, this a lot of medical sales representative queuing outside a doctor's office for long hours. So is that the reason why doctors often prescribe a certain company's drug to their patients? I think
that's not the only reason. Please understand that, as we drive organizations, it's so much important to understand that what are the actual RCAs on, what are the root cause analysis of that. Now sometimes even in the medical colleges when they study, a lot of the times, they study also based on certain brand names. Whilst it's molecules are taught, but on the fifth and sixth year, by the time they reach there, they are also acclimatized to brand names. Also from their childhood, like you and me have heard brands so much.
Yes.
We have not heard things like Meroza, Meropenem, Merocrate, or Meronym as a molecule, or piperacillin, tazobactam. We have not heard these names, but it all have relevant brands. So it is important for all of us to work together and see that how we can change the society at large. So it is also important for us to kind of, go and talk to the physicians and tell them, hey, can you please write molecule? Government is working on their direction.
Right.
And also important for us to work with the consumers and patients to make them understand, look, you also be more sensible. You go and talk to the pharmacy and say, hey, for this brand, I want the similar molecule. Can you give it to me? So I think it is a collective work for all of us that we need to kind of, do to ensure that we build a better, healthy India.
Right. And how do you, as a group CEO of a company, maintain, also with the COVID wave that has happened? I think one industry which was not much affected was the pharma industry and the pharma retail industry, if I'm correct. So how do you ensure that you maintain the profitability as well as grow year on year?
Well, for us, the only objective that we have is that every single Indian must have a high quality DavaIndia generic medicine in their pocket, because we really have seen how India have undergone this wave, and that people really cannot afford expensive branded medicines.
Right.
Whilst doing that, we are very careful in doing the pricing. We ensure that we make a very optimum pricing, so that if someone have a diabetic patient in home, cardiac patient at home, they can really save lot of money. So whilst doing that, we ensure that we operate on optimized lean profits, but we reach out to as many people as possible, so that they can understand the value of this. They can kind of get our products, but at a profitable level. We don't kind of our own. We are not really focused only on making money, but it's a combination. So when you run business, definitely it have to be a combination of it, and there's nothing wrong about it.
No, obviously, right, correct.
So that's what we do. So we just ensure that we keep an optimum number in terms of the MRPs. Our MRPs are really low and affordable. So we don't operate on discounts, because we feel that there's no end to discounts. So we have operated on lower MRP, so that end consumers can kind of meet up to what they require, and thereby we operate on lean profits.
So if you have to give an example of, say, a certain molecule being sold by a different brand as compared to you, can you give us the price difference?
Yeah, so our product would be easily kind of 60 to 70% lower in MRP than some other good well-known brands.
Almost on every other medicine?
Most of it.
Wow.
Most of it.
And you mentioned DavaIndia. How is Zota Healthcare and DavaIndia similar or different?
Okay. Zota Healthcare is the name of the organization.
Right.
Dava India is a brand of Zota India.
Right.
So
right.
so Zota Healthcare is the organization, and
Right.
Dava India is a retail chain of generic pharmacy brand.
Right. And what is your what is the next 10-year vision for Dava India?
For Dava India, the very clear-cut vision is that we have to ensure that we are present all across the country, because India truly needs high-quality generic medicine, and we are really poised towards it. I personally work in the rural Mafushala and in the villages, so I know that India truly needs that. At a larger corporate level, the vision is that we intend to be the best organization to work based on culture. We are working extremely hard to ensure that we build a very strong culture, because Indian organizations usually don't operate based on value systems and culture. So we are driving our organization every single day towards building the organization that India would be valued the most in terms of the best organization that India have seen ever in terms of culture. We have a set of structures that we are working out, and we also believe in women empowerment. That's a very strong focus that the organization have to ensure that at a 360-degree level, we actually emancipate to be the best organization in India to work for.
Awesome. So with this value system that you're talking about, was this again something which you developed during your growing years?
Yes.
Which school were you from? If
I have been from Don Bosco, Lilua.
Okay. So I think Don Bosco is one of the schools, especially Lilua, which is known for its value system.
Don Bosco Lilua is the global headquarters of Don Bosco worldwide.
Okay. And how was it studying in Don Bosco? What did your school years look like?
My school years have been extremely passionate, aspirational. I have been a leader from my school life. I still remember that if I wanted to do something, I still used to do that. For example, if I had an intention to play cricket during the school hours, during the school timing when the class would be going on, and I was a volunteer for my batch for class 8, 9, and 10. I convinced my principal that he allows me to play cricket. So there was an incident. In fact, if any of my school teachers would be seeing this, they know that I had called out all the boys, because it's a boys' school, from the class, because that was a class that I didn't like. So specifically on that subject, I called out, and the teacher said, why are you calling them out? I showed her the paper that here's the approval from the principal. Of course, she can't tell no, because the principal approved it. So all these things and there are hundreds of such stories of my school life. If my batchmates sees, they know what I'm talking about. So there are hundreds such stories I can tell you about school life. It has been one of the most fascinating journey for me. So I think that's how my school and my college, etc., have been all the most fascinating for me.
So I think you credit your ground development to your schooling and
school, college, everything.
And which college were you from?
I was from City College.
Okay.
So I'll give you one incident in City College. So I was a topper in genetics.
Okay.
So in genetics, we had a book of Kotpal.
Okay.
So Kotpal have been the leader in genetics.
Okay.
So there was a chapter where I challenged Kotpal that this is wrong. And I wrote a letter to him. At that point of time, it was not emails. We used to write letter to the author of the book, because Kotpal was taught in every colleges out here, whoever studies genetics. So my core subject was molecular biology and genetics. And Kotpal writes back to me that, yes, this is wrong, and this have been taught for years together, and I still have that letter, and this would be changed in the next publishing, and now it is changed. So I have been extremely aspirational from my school days.
Right.
So I can tell you series of such incidents of my life, which are very, very fascinating. So there are multiple such things. I still remember that I used to do a lot of debates all across Calcutta. Then I was a judge for debates.
Okay.
So I used to do Bengali debates and English debates. And in one of the incidents, the topic was Poroma. And I remember that in those days, during our college fests, we had to have all the colleges, coming in for the fests. So my last statement of the debate was of Poroma. Still today, even people in coffee house talks about it. And I still remember the last statement of my statement was when all the girls were sitting, I said, "Poro ma kichu poro." So it's like, the girls used to come in skirts, etc. So I used to tell them that "Poro ma kichu poro." So I think I had my own slice of life, that I led well. So I had been with late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad, where I was one amongst the 7 members, who was here. So I think I had my own slice of aspirations always, and that's how I lead my life.
And how important was this city in your foundation? Because people talk about the cultural lessons.
This is the best city. Means I truly adored this city like anything. And trust me, this is one of the city that can actually give you a lot of things if someone really. This is a very culturally rich city. I have seen Calcutta and some parts of Germany which are almost similar. So this is because I travel extensively. So this city is so culturally strong that I can't compare Calcutta with any city across the world, because it is so culturally strong.
Right. And what do you think is, like we spoke about the not so good part of Calcutta during the initial part of this podcast. So if I now have to speak apart from the culture, 2 more core values of the city which really holds it up, what would it be for you?
The value systems that parents have in Calcutta. Calcutta is not a place where people will show off. You go to any other place in the country, they would show up, of multiple things. Even if they have X, they will show up 10X. Calcutta is not a place, where people will show up. Probably that is the reason, since our roots have been out here, we have kind of, born in that way. And the other important part is that people here know how to relax and rest, probably quite a lot.
Yeah.
Now that has good and bad side, both of it. But for people like me who work close to 16 to 17, 18 hours a day nowadays, so whilst I feel that yes, rest is kind of important, but yes, if you really have to grow up, you can't relax so much. So I think that's what Calcutta is about.
So you mentioned you're working 16, 17 hours a day. I have 3 questions in that. Okay, 3 questions have come to my mind. Number 1, how do you give time to yourself and how much do you sleep? Because first thing.
Okay. I sleep on an average 3-4 hours.
That's it?
Yeah, because the work is that's what I said. So by the time you finish your work, it is 9-10 o'clock. Most of my month goes in some hotel or the other. So then I eat very less in the night or similar. And then after that, when I sit for my personal time, then by the time I finish, it's easily 2:30, and I sleep and I wake up usually very early, because one thing I don't try to miss is my meditation every single day. So for my personal time, night is usually my personal time that I spend.
So don't you think the need of sleeping
Absolutely,
more?
you're right. It's very, very important. And I'm very poor in that because of the pressure that I hold. No, and you're right. Need of sleep is important. Work-life balance is important. But maybe I have not yet been able to master the art yet.
Right.
And I want to confess that, I'm not good at it.
Right. And second question, how do you balance your work and your family time?
Oh,
I'm sure you must have had complaints about this.
Yeah, I do, but I try to stay as connected as possible over telephones and through screens, because technology is there. But when you really have to drive a mission to build organizations, so I have built organization to organize, and wherever I worked with hardcore diligence, honesty, and values. So as you grow up in the corporate ladder, if someone really, really focuses on organization, you really cannot spend too much of time. You cannot really have your lunches at 12:30, 1 o'clock. You really cannot have your time of your massage and sauna and cucumbers. You can't do that. That's a time that you are building the organization for a larger goal. Like I was in Calcutta yesterday, and I think the first meal that we had was sometime around 7:30, 8 o'clock. So that's how the calendar rotates. Now, not all days are like that. Some days, yes, we do have time, but most of the days we don't. So work-life balance is good to hear the terminology, but practically, if someone is really building an organization, it's not so simple.
And my third question on this topic would be, how would you address the work-life balance for the team that you have in your office?
I always want them to really rest. I truly feel that they should spend more time for themselves. And I genuinely feel that, whenever they want to take leave, they should go ahead and take leave. And any of my colleagues who, if they would be seeing this podcast, they know that every single statement that I'm saying is true. I want my team to really, really relax, because I know the pressure that comes on driving a boat from the front. But I don't want that same pressure to be on my people. For my people, I'm there as their boss and I'm their shield. And as a shield, I really want them to relax, rest, have a good life for them. Of course, I'm having a very good life, but I want all of them to rest, because to take this kind of pressure is not everyone's cup of tea.
And you mentioned meditation.
Yes, I did.
How much does that help in reducing
It does a lot. It not only helps to reduce stress, it also helps to build a lot of clarity of mind, lot of things. See, I do lots. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of past life regression therapies. I do
Wow.
I do a lot of things in the evening.
What is your way of meditating?
I just sit down. I just lie down. I just don't do anything. Okay. Meditation has no ways, actually. So people ask me when I train them on meditation that I'm not getting the feeling of meditation. If you continue to go to find out that feeling kab aayega, feeling kabhi nahi aayega. That's wrong. That's not meditation. Meditation is, when you just are just when you're with yourself. That's it.
Do you believe in God?
Of course I do.
Which God do you most look up to?
I believe in the power of the universe. But my Gurudev Sri Loknath Brahmachari is who is with me always, who is actually taking me to this journey of success that I have got into. But I believe hugely on vibrations and energies. Huge. Even right as I speak, this place must be having some energy and some aura. So,
Absolutely.
So Absolutely. I'm a great believer of E equal to MC square.
And how important do you think these energies are? Because a lot of things depends on energy, vibe, and all of that.
Yes, it's extremely important. Suddenly, if you meet someone and you'll see that you can connect with that person. Suddenly, if you meet someone, you'll see that you don't. Suddenly, if you go to a place, you'll see that for no reason the smell of the place is not good enough.
Yes.
Suddenly, if you go to a place, you'll see that there is good fragrance even without an incense out. So everything around life is energy. And I tend to come or stay close to those people who have good energy. Sometimes even if you'll see that your close family members, your close blood relation may not have the desired amount of energy. So you don't need to be close to them. So energy is extremely important. And you need to be as close to good energy, positive energy and vibrations as much as possible.
Right. What is the way forward for the Indian pharma retail industry? How do you see it evolving in the next decade?
In the next 1 decade, I definitely feel that India pharma retail industry would shift much more into generic. It have already started shifting, and that would give a huge boost to the end consumers or patients, because that is the next move that India should and must undergo, and that is what is undergoing now.
Awesome. So my last section, it's a very fun section, okay? It is basically myths and realities. So I'll give you about 7-8 sentences. Sure. You'll have to tell whether it is straight or twisted by the name of the show. Okay. You have to either say straight or twisted.
Okay.
Are you ready?
So straight is right and twisted is wrong.
Straight is right. Twisted might be right, might be wrong, myth, whatever it is. Indian generic drugs are low quality and ineffective.
Twisted.
Indian pharmaceutical companies only make cheap generics and don't do research.
Twisted.
The Indian government doesn't regulate the pharmaceutical industry effectively.
Twisted.
General medicines are less effective.
Twisted.
Crocin is the solution to all health problems.
Twisted.
Ayurvedic medicines are useless.
Twisted.
Covaxin and Covishield are fake.
Twisted.
Generic medicines negatively affect health.
Twisted.
So all twisted. Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Sujit Paul, it was a pleasure having you on Twisted Truths. It was wonderful talking to you, and I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.